Hello, welcome to BODHI Yoga Online. I'm Krista Cahill, and today you're joining us for a 90-minute vinyasa flow. And this is Chris demonstrating the postures for me. So we're going to get started in child's pose. Come to your mat, and if you need a prop under your knees or under your forehead, grab that, point your toes, and bring your arms into the most relaxing position you can find. Here, we're just going to take a few moments and breathe to connect and to get grounded. And just become aware of your breath as you enter your practice. Quadriceps underneath your rib cage are helping to stabilize the movement of the front abdomen and to give you more emphasis in the sides of your ribs, so moving the ribs laterally as you inhale. And this lateral movement is also what we call diaphragmatic breathing. So to create the most depth and engagement in the diaphragm with each inhale possible. And of course, the muscle of the diaphragm is relaxing as we exhale, and that's where the breath is leaving your body. The diaphragm lifts into the side and back ribs. And bring awareness to your shoulders, the neck, jaw, forehead. Relax any unnecessary tension you might be holding there. Last few breaths like this. Take a very long inhale. See if you can just make a little mini pause at the top of the breath. Open your mouth, sigh it out, let go of any tension. And now begin to reach your arms forward, as if your arms really began at those low lateral ribs. You can look up, and if you have a carrying angle or shoulder or wrist injury, you can always take the hands a little wider than your shoulders. You can always angle your hands out slightly. Press the entire circumference of your hand down. So Hasta Bandha, the hand, starts at the knuckles. So the thumb, knuckle, index, middle, ring, pinky, all the way across, pressing evenly down into the yoga mat. All the fingers drop and extend forward away from that pressure point. The palm of the hand pulls back towards the wrist, towards the shoulders. So as the fingers reach forward and the palm pulls back, you're getting more circumference area to touch the mat. Press the entire hand down, giving your wrists a feeling of elevation, the inner elbows a nice structural support, all the way up until you feel that little hollowing of your armpits. See if you can use that little lift of your inner arms to then press the inner shoulders out against. So as the armpits lift up, you might feel the shoulders crunch a little bit into the sides of the neck. Resist that crunching by opening and creating space at the inner upper shoulders. Use your hands to press the hips back. Last 2 breaths. This is called strong child's pose, active child's pose. 1 more breath. Now, without letting the forearms touch the ground, lift your hips enough so you can curl your toes under. Here we go, downward facing dog. On an exhale, lift your knees, press the hips back. Let's start with the feet super wide today. So if you're at home and you can go off the mat without slipping, do that. Otherwise, bring your little baby toes in line with the edges of the mat. And do your best to create that nice lift in the top of the pelvis, so where the sacrum meets the last 5th lumbar vertebra. See how much up and back motion you can get with the assistance of your hands and shoulders. Last few breaths here. You're going to put a little bit of a bend in the knees, and you're going to walk your hands halfway to your feet. So not all the way completely, just halfway. And then see if you can open up your toes a little bit wider, and now stretch the heels down towards the yoga mat or floor. Inside edges of your heels reaching down will help to contain the movement of the outer ankles. Match that inner heel, the downward pressure, with the baby pinky toe knuckle. Match the outer heel reaching down with the big toe knuckle. And right where those two diagonal lines intersect is the top of your ankle or the front of your heel. And this is what we call the parabandha. So the place where your foot, the joint, splits in two. We call it a spring joint. This spring joint is what brings energy up the legs into the pelvis. It feeds into the floor of the pelvis, the mula bandha. Last 2 breaths here. Feel free to bend the knees even more if you need to. Continue walking your hands towards your feet, and you're going to hold your opposite elbows, allowing now the spine to release in traction towards the earth. Sideways, lateral, diaphragmatic breathing as much as you can. Feel the inner and outer heels, big and baby toes, evenly pressing the earth down. And now you're going to switch the opposite elbow. If you feel, very, very loose here this morning, you can try bringing your elbows a little bit back in line with your ears, feeling how that elongates further the rounding of the spine. Last 3 breaths. Release your fingertips to the earth. Inhale, lift your body halfway up. And you're going to walk your hands, again, halfway away from your feet. So you're in like a little mini down dog shape. Use this time to ground your feet. So what we're looking for optimally is the legs lifting upright out of the feet. So you have the triangle of your inner thighs lifting up from your inner knees and ankles. The triangle of your outer legs lifting up from your outer ankles, knees, into the hips. You have the line at the front, so starting at the front of your ankle, lifting your kneecaps, lifting the upper quadriceps. And then, of course, most importantly, we have the line in the back of the leg, the hamstrings literally pushing up so much. You might even feel your sitting bones start to lift towards the ceiling. How much of this leg control, leg stability can you maintain and continue walking your hands forward as far as you can without losing the legs? So the arms, spine, everything extends out of that peak of the hips. And now keep your hands as they have landed and march your feet into hip distance or a little larger than hip distance apart, and see how that changes your ability to work the legs. Last couple breaths here. Adho Mukha, downward facing. Last inhale. See how much the sides of the hips can go back. And keeping that lift in your hips, look forward, bringing the ears up and walking your feet to your hands this time. Feel free to have your feet hip distance or together, your choice, as you lengthen out. Ardha Uttanasana, engaging the muscles of the spine. And now relaxing the spine down as you exhale. Bend the knees if necessary. Really, as much as possible, the lower abdomen contacts the upper thighs. The middle abdomen, middle thighs. Chest eventually, armpits touching knees. Let your head relax so the neck is super soft. Take 2 more breaths here. Organize your feet. Organize the weight to be in the center of the foot, the front of your ankle. And keep your knees a little bit bent, and we're going to create a roundness through the spine, ragdolling up slowly, starting with the rounding of the low back. Take your time rounding the upper back. We know that rounding the upper back is just a little bit easier. Rounding the lower back takes a bit more of our concentration. Very good. And we're going to stand in Tadasana for a few moments. So again, organize your feet to either be together or hip distance apart, whatever is your most effective position for your body. Opening up the toes, taking as much space as you can, not just separating the toes, but also the feeling of descending the toes and moving them forward along the yoga mat energetically. And at the same time as you move the toes forward, from the heel, you're stretching back. Once again, we're taking the greatest amount of circumference area we can, and you're pressing the foot down into the earth. Align the center of the pelvis over the front of your ankles. So this is what we would call a position of being ready. In this position, what I want you to try to do is to lift your heels 1 millimeter off the ground and see how just by doing that you activate the spring joint, the ankle joint. Now, if you were to bend your knees slightly, you would be putting more weight into the balls of the feet and you're going to start to feel bouncy. And this is the feeling that you want to have when you're jumping and transitioning, is the feeling of being ready. Try to keep this feeling as you release the heels down, press the earth, and lift your legs rather than pressing the knees back until you feel your legs are fully extended. Take a moment, see if you can bring all of that energy from the readiness of your feet up the spine. Send that energy up through the crown of the head. How tall can you make each and every vertebra? Last 2 breaths here, Tadasana. And now from deep inside the shoulder joint, externally rotate your arms. Take a big circular motion and inhale all the way as you look up, reach. Open your arms even wider, maybe bend the knees as you fold. On the exhalation, Uttanasana. Halfway lift, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Bend the knees. For the first one, we're gonna step back, choose one leg, and then the other, and you're coming into plank pose. So all the fingers drop down, all the knuckles press evenly. Fingers release down and stretch forward. Palm of the hand pulls back towards your wrist. And the wrists are lifting. Again, it's that feeling of being ready. It's like you could jump up and down on your hands. The insides of your shoulders spring up. The inner armpits are lifted. Last 2. Now keep the forearms squeezing in towards one another as you lift your hips to down dog. So we're just going to take this plank directly back as you exhale. Keeping the hips moving back towards the heels, look up and again shift into a plank position. For the first one, we'll do chaturanga on the knees. Bring your knees down, point your toes. On an exhalation, lower just to the height of the elbows and pause. See if you can bring the shoulders away from the back of your neck. Come back to straight arms, plank inhale. Again, bend your elbows and pause at the height of the elbows. Back to straight arms, last time inhale. Try to lift your wrists and forearms as you bend the elbows, chaturanga, and now go down all the way onto the yoga mat. Prepare for cobra, point your toes. Bring the weight towards the pubic bone, and as you inhale, engage the vertebra between your ears, the neck vertebra, the upper back between the shoulder blades. Point your elbows literally straight back and see if you can move the spine forward in opposition to your arms. Last 2. Continue gaining length as you go forward. Release the forehead as you exhale. Curl your toes under. Now you can keep the knees on the ground or you can make this transition happen with straight legs. I leave it up to you. Shoulders away from the ears, lifting first with the sacrum. Come all the way up in one line of energy into plank pose. Downward dog on an exhalation. Separate your feet, take a couple breaths. So the 4 sides of the legs, like Tadasana, the front of the legs moving up, the inner legs, outer legs, back of the thighs, pushing the sitting bones slightly up towards the ceiling. Last 3. Moving even more, the hips back. 2. Look up, finish the exhale, bend the knees and jump or step as you inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, maximum elongation. Exhale, crown of the head down, Uttanasana. Open the arms, external rotation as you reach up. Tadasana, exhale, hands release down. Again, externally rotate the arms, inhale, Urdhva Hasta. Exhale, descend on Uttanasana, full exhalation. Inhale, crown of the head forward. Plant your hands down. Choose the other leg to step back with, coming into plank. Take an inhale in plank, knees up or down. Pause in chaturanga as you exhale. And as you inhale, come all the way down onto the yoga mat. Point your toes. Prepare your body for Bhujangasana, cobra. Stay with Bhujangasana or come fully into upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Lift first with the pelvis as you transition. Exhale, Adho Mukha, downward facing. Taking a few moments, organize your hands and feet. Breathe those bottommost side ribs as far to the lateral direction as possible. Last 3, 2. End of this last exhale, bend your knees, look up, inhale, march or jump, full elongation. Exhale, Uttanasana, descend. Open the arms and inhale, press the feet, the earth away. Tadasana, exhale, arms release, Samastitihi. Surya Namaskara A, inhale, arms reach up. Exhale all the way until you reach the yoga mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Jump or step as you exhale, Chaturanga. Cobra or upward dog as you inhale. Adho Mukha, downward facing as you exhale. Separate the feet, breathe here. 2, 3, lift, elongate the top of the pelvis back. 4, keep moving the hips back as you look forward. Exhale, bend the knees. Inhale, jump or step your feet. Exhale, Uttanasana. Open the arms, rise as you inhale. Arms down, exhale. Again, inhale, arms reach. Exhale, full breath out, Uttanasana. Inhale, elongate. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva or Cobra. Exhale, Adho Mukha. Take a couple breaths. So the ears ideally line up with your inner upper arms, your biceps, and you can feel, even as the triceps hug in, even as the outer shoulders hug in, those upper inner arms are resisting out against the triceps. Last 2. Keeping all that lift in your inner shoulders, look up, exhale, bend the knees, jump or step, inhale, Ardha. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Urdhva Hasta, look up if possible. Exhale, arms release, Samastitihi. Take a moment here, Tadasana. So feel how these sun forms create a stimulus in the body, a stimulus of heating, of releasing tension. So it's that magic recipe of breath and movement, the vinyasa. Release the arms, externally rotate your arms, and as you lift the arms, sit back into Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale the abdomen onto your thighs, Uttanasana. Inhale, half lift. March it or jump it back as you exhale, Chaturanga. Cobra or inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Exhale, Adho Mukha. So for this first one, we're going to break up the traditional sun salute B with a little lifting of the right leg. You can choose to open up your hip if you like stacking, bend the knee and bring the quadricep into a little stretch. Feel free to circle out the ankle if that helps you to stimulate the release in the ankle joint. And then release the right leg, change for the left leg when you're ready, bringing the left hip up to stack over the right. Bend the knee, maybe give it a couple of breaths, really stretching it out. And then bring your body back into Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. Okay, you're going to come forward when you're ready into plank position. Feel the shoulder blades resist back towards your heels. And now bring the right knee to touch your chest. And we're going to hold 5 breaths here. So what we're looking for is for the sacrum to not be lower than the upper back. We all can round the upper back a lot. But use your abdominals in the lower portion of your belly to lift your hips up. Last 2, keep engaging by lifting the crown of the head, the ears as high as the shoulders. Last breath in. And now step, place your foot all the way between your hands. Come onto your fingertips. We're just going to take a few breaths here so you can stretch out the upper part of your left quadricep. Now, as your left heel reaches back, send equally the left side of your spine forward. Yeah, so you get in 2 directions a little tractioning in your spine. When you're ready, you're going to take your arms back by your hips. The crown of the head spine still moving exactly forward away from your left heel. Last 2. And release your fingertips to the ground. Now we're going to turn the back foot on a 45-degree angle. You don't have to line up heel to heel. Open your feet a little wider if necessary. Create Tadasana in the back foot. Press the inside edge of your heel down, equal to the baby pinky toe knuckle. The outside edge of your heel down, equal to the big toe knuckle. The leg is a pillar. It stays stable. And what you're doing is you're moving the top of the left hip around towards your right heel. You're moving the top of the right thigh back towards your left heel. Okay, see if you can keep this organization, and when you're ready, take your arms sideways, external rotation, and bring your arms and torso all the way up. This is Virabhadrasana, the warrior pose. So the back leg is your anchor. It's where you're lifting the kidneys, especially the left side of your lower back, up from. See if you can go a little bit bigger as you inhale. Keep all that length. Open your arms on the exhale, hands down. Top of a push-up plank position. As you exhale, lower chaturanga or to the earth. Cobra or upward dog is the inhalation. Come back to chaturanga if you can. Plank position and downward facing dog. Very good. On your next inhale, back into plank. The left knee to left chest. And see if you can use this. Like if you're at home, you can use a mirror, for example. It's very difficult to see how much the upper back lifts compared to the lower back. Last 3. Try to keep the ears at least as high as your inner shoulders. 2. Lift the knee up and step. Place your foot between your hands. Come high onto your fingertips, and we're going to give that upper quadricep on the right side a little prep. Heel back, and the muscles that go along the lumbar spine are moving and projecting the crown of the head forward. Go in 2 directions, and perhaps at home, maybe you decide to keep your hands down. For those of you who want to, reach the fingers back by your hips. See if you can find 2 directions. The right leg rooting back, spine, crown of the head going forward. Last 2. And 1. Bring the fingertips down. Bring the back foot into a 45-degree angle. Okay, you don't have to be heel to heel, so open up the feet a little bit. Press the big and baby toe, inner and outer heel down. See if that stability in your back leg can be maintained, and you're just taking the top of the right hip around towards the front heel. The top of the left thigh around towards the back heel. Maintain that and open your arms, externally rotate and come all the way up. Virabhadrasana. This is one of the best poses to prepare you for back bends, because what you're doing is you're using the arms to lift the kidneys up out of the lumbar. So you can feel that off the back heel pressing down, you can lift energy up a little higher. Last breath in. Keep all that length, open your arms, exhale, top of the push-up. Take an inhale, and either to the ground or chaturanga, exhale. Cobra or upward dog, inhale. If you can, back to chaturanga on the exhale, plank as you inhale, and downward facing as you exhale. So take a couple breaths here in downward facing dog. See if you can get those little inner heels to stretch down just as much as the outer heels. Even if you're not touching the floor, you can still feel the distinction of making the outer heels faster or the inner heels faster towards the earth. Last 2, good, that's it. You see that right there, that's it. 1, look up, jump or step as you inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, descend on Uttanasana. Move the hips back and down, Utkatasana, chair. Stand up and exhale, arms down, Samastitihi. Surya Namaskara B, chair pose, inhale. Exhale, descend on Uttanasana. Inhale, elongation. March it or jump back, Chaturanga as you exhale. Urdhva or cobra, inhale. Exhale, Adho Mukha. Without lifting the legs, simply look up, step your right foot between your hands, turn your left heel. See if you can come up in one big inhale. Look up. Exhale, both hands down. Now go either down dog or chaturanga. That's your choice. Inhale, cobra or urdhva. Exhale, Adho Mukha. Same exhalation. If possible, bring your left foot forward, turn the right heel. Inhale, both arms, spine all the way up. Exhale, hands down. Either down dog or chaturanga. Inhale, urdhva or cobra. Exhale, Adho Mukha, and take a few moments recovery breathing here in down dog. You're moving out as wide laterally through the bottom side ribs as possible. The abdominals are quiet. They're very, very still in these poses, especially where gravity is pushing the spine from above. Last 3, 2, lift your ears and your gaze, bend your knees, jump or step as you inhale, Ardha, elongate. Exhale, Uttanasana. Chair, sit back and down as the arms go up. Exhale, stand, Tadasana, Samastitihi. We're just going to do one more. Chair pose. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, descend on Uttanasana. Ardha, inhale, half lift. March it or float back. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or urdhva. Exhale, Adho Mukha. Step the right foot, turn the left heel. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands down if you can, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or urdhva. Exhale, Adho Mukha. Same exhale, left foot steps, right heel on the earth. Inhale, come up. Exhale, hands down. Continue exhaling as you lower. Inhale, urdhva or cobra. Exhale, Adho Mukha. Recovery breathing here, downward facing. So feel the effects of the sun forms on your body, on your mind, on your breathing. 2, 3, 4. Last inhale, as much movement back as you can through the hips. Look up, exhale, bend your knees, jump as you inhale. Exhale, crown of the head down. Bend your knees into chair pose, Utkatasana, inhale. Tadasana, exhale, Samastitihi. Close your eyes and stand in Tadasana. Observe the majesty of mountain energy, opening up the base of the mountain, the feet as wide as you can energetically. Feeling the sides of the mountain drawing in and lifting energy to the peak, which is the crown of your head. The more you're able to connect down through your feet, the greater the effortless return of energy. The spine, crown of the head reaching up. Last 2 breaths here. Now you're going to open your eyes, separate your feet hip distance apart. You can step them out or jump them out. Bring your hands into your hips. Inhale, lift the spine as tall as you can. Parangushtasana. As you exhale, bend over, hold your toes. Take the first 2 fingers, wrap them around with the thumb. Inhale, look forward, and as you exhale, release, crown of the head down. So there are actually marma points in your big toes here where we're holding in the Parangushta. The more you squeeze and lift your toes up, the more you're going to stimulate those little marma points. So marma points are where consciousness and physical body come together. This is part of Ayurveda. Inhale, elongate. Padahastasana, slide your hands all the way under until the toes touch the wrist. So there's also marma points in your hands that connect directly to your heart. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, crown of the head down. As you press the ball of your foot into the center of your hand, the palm of your hand, right underneath the middle finger, is the marma point of the heart. So as you press your feet down, you're stimulating the consciousness where it meets the physical organ of your heart. Last 2. 1. Inhale, lift your cervical spine, hands to your hips on an exhalation. It's an inhale where you stand up vertical, and an exhale where you close the feet, samastitihi. Inhale, externally rotate your arms, reach up, Urdhva Hasta. Exhale all the breath out as you fold hands to earth, Uttanasana. Halfway lifting up, inhale. Float as you exhale, Chaturanga. Urdhva Mukha or Cobra, inhale. Exhale, Adho Mukha. Inhale, lift your right leg up. Breaking tradition, exhale, bring the knee up and step, foot between hands. Okay, we're gonna set up warrior 1 again. Turn your back heel, come all the way up, and we're gonna pause this time. First, we're gonna straighten the front leg and make sure you have adequate amount of weight on the inner edge of the front foot, so inner heel, big toe edge. And at the same time as you navigate, keeping the inside of the foot pressing down, there's a point at the top of your outer right thigh called the greater trochanter. It's this bony protrusion where we have at least 26 different connections, muscles, ligaments, tendons that connect there. Keep the foot 4 corners down and pull the top of your right leg back until you feel the energy connect to the left heel, so the back foot heel. Keep that as much as you can and re-bend your right knee all the way. So you feel the top thigh go back as you bend deeper into that front leg. Now release your hands behind your sacrum, cross your fingers. Take an inhale, lift your spine up. And as you exhale, you're gonna bring your chest down inside the right leg, relax the crown of the head down, eventually maybe one day to touch the floor. And breathe. So really all of these poses come from the feet. The more the feet press down, the more your pelvis is going to be able to jump up off the tops of the thighs, and you're going to have hip mobility. So it means that you're going to be able to take the left hip forward and the right hip back. We're not doing this by grinding the bones together. We're creating first that lift in space, and then we're moving the pelvis into position. Last 2 breaths. Bring your fingertips down either side of the front foot. Roll over onto your back toes. Lower your back knee down. So those of you at home, some of you might need to use blocks for Ardha Hanumanasana, half monkey pose. So you can use your fingertips or blocks on the highest or lowest setting, and then move your hips back and straighten out your front leg. Flex the foot, so this is called dorsiflexion, the toes back towards the knee. And use your better judgment to feel how much you can actually bring your lower part of your abdomen forward. We're looking to create a sense that we're not just getting our forehead to touch the leg. You guys have heard me say this for 21 years, and I am still not tired of saying this. Elongate forward first, then you bring the belly down. It's as much forward movement as it is down towards the leg. Last 3, 2, 1. Now you're going to bring the front leg back into a low lunge position. So if you're at home and your knee is a little bit sensitive, you might want to put a cushion or a pillow or something underneath it like this. Okay, now you're going to walk your hands up onto your front knee and you're going to come up into a little mini Anjaneyasana, low lunge. When you're ready, take your arms all the way out and up. You're going to interlace all the fingers except for your index finger and thumb. Okay? And now you're going to bend your elbows just like you would for headstand. Elbows turn in towards the tip of the nose, and you're going to bring your hands down as far as they'll go onto the base of your neck. So see if you can actually feel that the outer arms, which are the triceps, are turning towards the tip of the nose, which should give the upper inner shoulder blades a little bit of space. Now let the weight of your head start to move back against the arms, and you're going to feel the shoulder blades come onto your back and press forward. It's going to give you a little feeling of cobra in your neck and shoulders. Last 3. Perhaps bending the front knee helps a little bit more too. Take a last breath in. On your exhale, reach the arms up and bring your hands both down inside your front foot. So you're going to take either your left hand onto a block or onto the yoga mat. Turn and reach back with your right arm and catch your left foot for a quadricep stretch. And just do your best to keep the left shoulder blade away from your ear. And I know that that's not that easy to feel. But at the same time as the left shoulder blade releases away from the ear, can you turn from that underside of your left rib cage? Last two. Take a little bit more inhale in. And as you exhale, release your hands either side of the front foot. Take your left toes tucked under into a lunge and step back when you're ready, top of a push-up plank pose. So now you're gonna lower completely all the way onto the yoga mat, descend. We're coming into Shalambhasana, locust pose. Bring your hands back by your hips. This is Shalambhasana A position. So you're gonna keep the hands palms facing open towards the ceiling. Okay, you're gonna reach your legs back. See how much backward movement you can make through your legs, and eventually the backward movement will start to translate into the legs hovering. Make sure the movement is going back so you're on the pubic bone side of your pelvis, and then when you're ready, lift that vertebra between your ears, and you're gonna feel each part of the neck, the muscles along the upper back in between the shoulder blades, engaging, curling, arching into the body. Last three. Stretch your legs back, the top of your head forward. Two. You can keep your hands on the ground. Yeah, that's it. Now bring your hands into B position, which looks like cobra. The legs stay lifted. Your inner elbows are releasing straight back. You're creating as much engagement in the upper back as you can. Last breath in here. And as you exhale, release everything completely down. Good. Now you're going to curl your toes under. You're going to come onto the hands and knees tabletop position. You're going to reach your heels back as if you were going into child's pose. Lift your knees in Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. So take a few moments here and breathe. Okay, left side. Inhale, lift your left leg up. Exhale, warrior one position in your feet. Come all the way up when you're ready on an inhalation. Okay, so we're going to stand here with the legs straight. So slowly begin to straighten your left leg. And actively, with your concentration, so this is where our mind gets stronger and sharper, press the inside edges of your heel, the inner big toe on that left foot down. Concentrate on applying enough units of energy down so that you can take the top of your left thigh, the greater trochanter, back towards your outer right heel. So those 2 points connect. Even as you start to bend the knee, so the top of the left thigh, it feels like the shin bone is pushing it back as you drop into that 90 degrees angle. Now release your arms behind your back, choose to cross your fingers in the unusual way. Inhale, send the crown of your head up, and as you exhale, fold away from that right heel as your anchor. You're gonna let the crown of the head point all the way down towards the yoga mat. You can lift the arms a little bit up and over your head and see if you can feel there is still that connection. Top of the left leg, right outer heel. Maintaining that. Last two. One, bring your fingertips down onto the earth. Turn onto your back toes. And you're going to lower your knee down. So we're going to use blocks for Ardha Hanumanasana. You can move the hips back, straighten the front leg. The foot is in dorsiflexion. And see if you can maintain all of this forward trajectory as you start to bring your chest, your belly, closer to your leg. So to the best of our ability, we resist rounding as we come into these forward bends. We do our best to acknowledge that, yes, there is a round part of our spine, the sacrum and the thoracic, but what we're trying to do is to create as much forward, so tractioning, elongation as possible while we move into these deep hamstring stretches. Last two breaths. And then when you're ready, as you inhale, you bring their ears up a little bit, bend your knee, and come back into that little mini Anjane. So we're going to use a bit of padding under the knee. If you're lucky and you have one close at home, grab it. Bring your arms and torso up when you're ready. You can take a few moments to get as much lift in your spine as you can. Reach the arms up. So all of that arm up movement helps to lift and create space in the spine. Now, if you can remember, you're going to cross the unusual fingers, leaving the index and thumb out. Bend your elbows as if you were doing Shirshasana. The elbows, the outer arms, turn towards the tip of your nose. Now see if you can create that. Outer shoulders turning towards the tip of the nose, inner shoulders widening. And then very slowly, as the shoulders come onto your back, you're going to move your head back, and it's going to feel just like that engagement of the upper back of Cobra. Very good. Move the head as far back. Eventually, it's going to go all the way over your back foot toes. Last breath in. And then reach the arms up and exhale, both hands down inside your front foot. Okay, so you're going to plant the right hand, either block or floor, whatever is best for you. With your left chest and arm reach back, hold the top of your right foot, and take a couple moments. So almost all of us have a hard time bringing the right shoulder away from the ear. Just know that that's something that you're going to always, always, always have to be aware of. But as the right shoulder comes down away from the ear, what you're going to be able to do is then access the muscles under the right ribs to turn from. Last two. And one. Release your hands. Set up your body for the top of a push-up plank pose when you're ready. And with control, come down onto your belly all the way. Release your legs back, toes point. Okay. Now you're going to reach your arms overhead like a superhero. You're going to bring your hands with the palms facing down. And you're going to organize your hands to feel the same that they did at the very beginning in that active child's pose. So you're creating a nice downward force through each knuckle, forward through the fingers, pulling back through the palm of the hand. And ideally here, and I know this is challenging, but you're trying to lift your wrists and your forearms a little bit. Your inner elbows should have some space and support. And as you can see, the armpits are not dropping, but the armpits are lifting. So this is going to allow the upper back to engage. Very good. And then when you're ready, back in the opposite direction, stretch your legs. Have your legs going back so much that it actually pulls the weight towards the pubic bone. And now start with lifting the vertebra between your ears. So your hands pressing down will help. You're engaging each of those muscles that surround the vertebra of your neck, your upper back. And then if it's possible, add the lift of your hands a few centimeters off the ground. And breathe here for 5, 4, yes, 3, engage here, 2, and release. Very good. Slide your hands back into a cobra position. Press up onto your knees and child's pose for a couple breaths. So we're punctuating that little sequence with a moment of digestion so the energy can assimilate into the body. Come back to that choreographed breathing where the sides of your ribs are moving out laterally. You are trying to create a feeling of being embodied. So you're not leaving your body, especially in the moments where the practice becomes a little boring or challenging. But to be present, to be in your body, to feel and to go through all of the experiences that we go through as humans in this practice. This is the juice of it. When you're ready, reach your arms out in front. Take your toes, sneak them under into a little tuck position. And when you're ready, Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. Take a big breath. So you're going to stretch both sides of your hips way back out of your shoulders. Look forward. And when you're ready, jump or step on an inhalation. Exhale all the breath out as you fold. Chair pose, hips back and down. Stand up. And release the arms, Samastitihi. So now we're going to step or jump the feet out wide to the right, 70 centimeters apart. We're going to do Trikonasana, so if you at home have blocks and you know that you enjoy using blocks in triangle pose, ideally you'd set the blocks behind your heels. So again, 70 centimeters apart. You're going to take your left toes and turn them at a 15 15-degree angle towards your right toes. And then you're going to take your entire right leg and turn it open 90 degrees. Okay, and just make sure that your feet are organized. So they don't have to be heel to heel, but traditionally we set up these poses heel to heel alignment. Okay, now when you're ready, take your arms open, wide to the sides. So you're already doing basically triangle pose, but what I want you to focus on is, again, that the inside edge of your front foot is pressing down and the top of your right thigh is moving back towards your left heel, and that's the shift of the hips that will bring you down towards the tibia or the yoga block. As the top of your right thigh goes back and you press the inner foot down, you're creating in the hip what's called external rotation and lateral flexion. So the spine is in this lateral flexion, and what you're trying to do is not to lift the ribs too high, but to actually take that little portion where the ribs end just before the left hip, and you're pushing your bottom right obliques up into the top left side, and you're trying to create an even line of energy from the hip to the shoulder. Last 3, very good. 2, take this up a little as you do that, yes. Look down. If you need to, you can bend the knee a little. Inhale, come up. And then you're going to reverse the feet. So turn your right toes 15 degrees in. Turn your left toes out at 90 degrees. Okay, arms parallel when you're ready. Spine doing a basic Tadasana shape. Maintaining the weight on your inner heel, big toe. You're going to start to move the top of your left thigh back towards your right heel, the greater trochanter to opposite heel, and bringing your fingertips to tibia or block when you're ready. The idea is how much can you move the pelvis, shift the pelvis, while lifting the side of your right waist up. And it's not to be confused with lifting the right ribs up. So sometimes maybe you need to use a mirror or a friend. As the pelvis does this shift, know that the bottom left waist has to lift into the top right waist. Last 3. There you go. 2. Looking down, maybe you put a little mini bend in the knee if necessary, and inhale, come all the way up. Okay, turn your feet parallel. And you're going to, again, bring your arms all the way out like an airplane to the side. So we're going to do now Paschimottanasana Namaskar, which is reverse prayer. So you're going to internally rotate your thumbs all the way until maybe they're parallel to the ceiling. Bend your elbows, reach behind your back, and either place your hands together or make 2 fists. If your wrists bother you, just make 2 fists. Don't worry about it. So again, the feeling is that we have the support of the shoulders on the upper back. And it's the shoulder blades moving against the upper back rib cage that lifts and supports the chest. You don't have to do some exaggerated lift. Now turn the back toes all the way in towards the front toes. So the left toes turn all the way in to face the back of the mat, and the right toes turn all the way out at 90 degrees to face the back of the mat. Oh, these toes in. There you go. And the right toes all the way out. And now, again, you're going to keep the root of that back left heel pressing down, and you're going to try to turn your left upper hip all the way towards the front right foot. Take a big inhale. You're going to feel the front foot press down evenly, and as you exhale, you're going to start to move forward, elongate your torso over the leg. Remember, it's more about going forward before you go down. Last 3. This is called Parsvottanasana pyramid. 2. Press into the feet. Inhale, come up. We're going to do the second side directly, so you're going to spin your feet around. You're facing the front of the mat now. Again, ideally heel to heel or maybe a little wider. Press into that right heel, and without losing the right foot, you're going to bring the right hip around towards the left foot. On an exhalation, start to move forward as far forward as you can. Yeah, elongate first, then you drop down. Yeah, there you go. Last 3. Very, very good. 2. On the inhale, come all the way up. Step to the front of the mat, right foot joins left. Release your arms and let the blood drain back into your shoulders. Take a few breaths. Good. When you're ready, inhale, externally rotate your arms for a change, and inhale, reach up. Open your arms wide and fold as you exhale all the way. Halfway up, inhale. March or jump back, vinyasa or directly to down dog as you prefer. Inhale, urdhva or cobra. Exhale, adho mukha. Inhale, lift your right leg way up. Warrior one, step forward. See if you can create, to the best of your ability, a feeling of the leg at the front pulling back towards the back heel. Maintain that as you lower both hands to your heart in a prayer position. And we're going to twist, parivrita, revolved Parshvakonasana, bringing the elbow or shoulder around. And here, what you're going to feel is that the top of the right thigh, sometimes it likes to jut out to the side, meaning away from the midline. So what we want to try to do is keep that front foot inner heel pressing down, and to feel the greater trochanter, so the top of your right thigh, still in that connection to the outer left heel. Last three. Do your best to create a forward movement in the spine. 2. From here, we're going to come into warrior 2, which is very unusual for me. You're going to lift your left arm all the way up. You're going to circle it back. You're going to organize your feet. Okay, now for one breath, you're going to straighten your front leg, just because I don't like linking poses so much. The older you get, the more you realize it's a disaster. So, warrior 2, bend your knee. The front right greater trochanter to the back left heel. And see if you can move in a way that your front shin feels like it's being pushed back. Like my teacher Mati always used to have us do this at the wall with a block between the shin and the wall. And you would feel the lower you would go down, the more you have to resist the front leg back. Last 2. Just one more inhale. Cartwheel as you exhale, hands to the floor. You can make your way through a vinyasa or step directly back into down dog. Left leg up, inhale. Warrior 1 as you exhale. Come all the way up. Organize your feet, cement your feet into the ground. On an exhalation, drop your hands down through the center, prayer and twist. Parivrita Parshvakonasana. So again, it's that feeling of no matter how far you can descend your hips down, the front left shin bone is being resisted back, and that's where that cue comes from. Greater trochanter, top outer left thigh, towards back right heel. The spine, crown of the head in the opposite direction, so you move in 2 directions. Last breath in here. Look down as you exhale. Inhale, you're going to circle the right arm, warrior 2, all the way up and back. And now straighten your legs for a moment. Ground your feet into the earth. Organize so that your hips are even. And then resisting the left shin back, bend your left knee 90 degrees if it's possible. Yes, and you're breathing as you do all of these deep, deep manipulations in your hip. You might even feel that the weight, again, centers at the front of your heel, at the front of your ankle. Last 3. 2. This time we're just going to simply straighten the leg again. Bring the hands to the hips and turn your feet into a parallel position. As you inhale, bring the elbows pointing straight back, look up. As you exhale, you're going to keep your hands on the hips and fold into Prasarita Padottanasana. This is B variation. Again, just feel when you fold forward if maybe you need a little bit of a bend in the knees, and that's okay. But how we're trying to create length in the spine is by letting the head release straight down. And if you're very lucky and you have a block at home, you can let your head come to a block. And you can feel now you have 3 points, 2 feet and a head pressing into the ground. And last 3, there you go. 2. Put a little bit of a bend in the knees if necessary with a nice long spine. Inhale, lift the crown of the head all the way up. And you can bring your feet in a little bit. So again, just about 70 centimeters between your feet, which is a little less than Warrior 2, I think, for most of us. Okay, and now we're going to practice Parivrtta Trikonasana, revolve triangle. So again, just like before, you might need to put some blocks. And it depends. Some of you are going to put them on the heel side, and some of you are going to put them on the toe side. So it just depends on where you like your hand. So now we're going to take the left toes and turn them in at a 45-degree angle towards the right toes. Turn your right toes out 90 degrees. Okay. So it's a very similar circumstance to what we did in the pyramid stretch, where your heel is going to stay on the ground, but you're going to manipulate the left hip to turn around the left leg towards your right foot. The top of the right thigh is pulling back. Okay, now take your left arm up. So this will help to lift the kidneys. As you exhale, you're going to reach forward, not so much down, but forward. And then you can bring the hand across, or you can move the block to the inside of the foot. Okay, then when you're ready, you're going to turn and bring your right shoulder to stack above your left shoulder, and maybe you take the arm and gaze up at some point when you're ready. Okay? Breathing your body in 2 directions. The hips go one way and the spine in the opposite direction. Last 3. The left shoulder as far away from the ear as you can, and use that underside of the ribcage to turn 2. Very good. Now look down. Make it as graceful as you can. Lift your left arm. Make a huge circle. Turn on your heels. Point your left foot forward. Take your right toes in a little bit more, just like Warrior 1. Keeping that heel of the back right foot pressing down. See if you can take the right upper hip and turn it forward to face the left foot. Right arm up. Use that to help lift the kidneys up off the lumbar, and then go forward. So the more you go forward, the better, and eventually you just release the arm down. Take your hand inside or outside. Turn as you exhale the left shoulder above the right. Add the arm gaze up if you would like. And you're going to turn from underneath that right shoulder blade. And breathe here for 5, 4, 3, good job, there it is. 2, look down. Giant circle with the right arm. Inhale, come all the way up, turn your feet now parallel, and step or jump front of the mat, Samastitihi, very good. Inhale, reach both arms all the way overhead. Exhale as you float to the floor. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, float, Chaturanga. Inhaling, Urdhva Mukha or Cobra. Exhale, Adho Mukha. And take a moment in Child's Pose. Lower your knees, point back through your toes, and let your hips relax. Okay, I'm going to ask you to take a few moments and organize your breathing. You're moving the muscles as much away from the spine as you can as you inhale, creating space around the vertebra. In the lower floating ribs, it's going to feel a little bit easier to get that sideways movement. A little bit closer to the armpits, it's going to feel more challenging because the ribs are connected to the sternum bone. Do your best. Okay, now you're going to reach your arms forward. Press into your hands, prepare yourself for downward facing dog, Adho Mukha. Okay, we're going to take full Hanumanasana now. So lift your right leg all the way up and back. Exhale, step your right foot forward. You're going to bring your back knee down. Okay, and point your toes. So again, some of us might be really, really benefited by stacking up, you know, some blocks underneath where your right hip will land. Okay, you can also use, you know, pillows, cushions at home, whatever. You can use blocks under your hands and cushions under your hip. You can use your hands on tables. I've also used Iyengar chairs under the hands. Okay, so just be creative. You're going to move your hips back until your front leg is straight. And then when you're ready, you're going to see if you can negotiate a position where even if you curl the back toes under or point the back toes, it doesn't matter. Both are great and serve a purpose. But you can feel that the outside part of your left hip is able to lift and move or turn around the left leg towards the front foot. Now, we won't get perfectly square here. Nobody gets perfectly square. However, the objective is that we are creating hip mobility. As you start to feel the top of your left hip move around, again, it's that same feeling of the greater trochanter of the right leg coming back towards your back heel. There's like one little amount here. So if you come to a position where you're actually propped, do you feel like that's propped now? Okay, then maybe you can try taking the arms out and all the way up. If you're not balanced, don't. Just keep your hands secure. If you feel secure, take your hands all the way out and up. And it's the same thing like that little lunge where you feel the triceps moving around towards the tip of the nose, the upper shoulder blades separate, but then you're moving your head and arms back towards your back foot. And eventually one day you're just reaching back and holding your back toes on the ground. Last 3, very good. 2, and release, bring your hands down, and now you can walk forward if you want with your blocks and fold forward over your front leg a little bit. So this is the culmination of all of those little preparations that we did of going forward and not just rounding. At home, you could totally just round your back and put your forehead on and ta-da, you know, you got it. But at the same time, how boring is that to take a shortcut? Last 3 breaths. Oh yeah, there you go. And walk your blocks back. Putting your hands or blocks underneath your shoulders, curl your back toes under, lift your back knee up off the ground, and see if you can, without taking the whole mat with you, slide back with your right foot. Good, and then we're going to, you can use the blocks in your hands or not. Inhale, lift your left leg up. Second side, step through. Okay, and then just organize it, bringing your back knee down. Okay, moving whatever props you need over to the left side of your hip. So you think this side is basically the same?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little easier maybe, huh? Yeah. One side, always easy side. Oopsie. And see if you can create that situation in your body where you're not necessarily sliding the right foot out. Right? The leg is going to stay directly behind you, but really it's the top of the right leg, or the top of the right hip rather, excuse me, that is moving around. So the hip bone, the little ASIS bone, is moving towards the navel or towards the front left foot. I'm actually going to make this, I'm going to fold this. Now see if you can come down on that. Is that a little bit easier? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. When you do feel you've reached a place where maybe the hands are not as necessary for balance, you can take your arms all the way up. So again, this just like back bend, same as Warrior One. It's all that same work of being able to lift your kidney ribs up out of your lumbar, to put your shoulders actually physically onto your back, and to use that to articulate the movement of the ears back, the neck back, and eventually your arms back until you're holding that back foot. There you go. Arching here. Very good. Last 3. arch over my finger if you can. Yes, there you go, 2, beautiful. And then release your hands down, and now maybe you take it into a more forward flexed position, walking your blocks, hands forward, and taking your forward movement in the spine. You know, resist the idea of bringing your forehead to your knee this century. Just be happy with where you are, you know, accepting, not grasping or being greedy with your body. We have limitations for a reason. It's all organized in our DNA for reasons. And then gently walking your hands back, curling under the right toe. See if you can elevate the right knee, and without taking the whole mat with you, see if you can step back. And again, we're going to take a child's pose. So after these big stretches, you know, give your body an opportunity to feel what you've been doing, how you've been changing the flow of energy. The sideways movement of the rib cage equals diaphragmatic breathing. And when we breathe with the diaphragm, it signals the body to a response of relaxation. It also signals the body to relax the hip flexors, which I think for most of us in back bends can be really a pain. The constant clenching of the front hips, it limits our ability to stretch and extend the legs back, which limits our ability to engage and extend the spine. So when you're ready, you're going to come into a plank position from wherever you are. And you're going to take a very slow and deliberate core supported exhalation all the way to lie down on your belly. And then when you're ready, you're going to bend your knees, reach for the tops of the feet, and we're going to take Dhanurasana, bow pose. So the feet are the star of the show here in this posture. You're actually taking the hand and you're putting it around the foot, but it's really the foot opening and holding the hand. So you want to see or feel your toes actually curling around that little baby pinky finger. The soles of the feet are actively open. And then when you're ready, you're going to start to shift the weight back towards your pubic bone. Push your legs up away from the yoga mat. And then the very last part is you're going to lift your spine, starting with the vertebra between your ears, engaging the back of the neck, engaging eventually that area between the shoulder blades, the spine, and kicking your feet as much as you can into the air. Last 3. 2, and very gently lower down. Take your legs back into a relaxed position, arms, shoulders into a relaxed position. Breathe. We're going to do it again. Come to your forehead, place your hands around the tops of your feet, and let the toes curl around your hands. So with the intelligence of your feet, you start this pose. Okay, rolling the weight to the sacrum, lifting your thighs as much as they possibly can, and then feeling the upper part of your back engage. So the lower back here is still in backward rotation, or the spine is still relatively open. It's the upper part of your back that's engaging and working to lift you up. Last 3. Try to push the legs as high as you can to open up those quadriceps. 2. And then release all the way down. Turn your head the other way. Let your feet, arms, legs, everything relax for a few breaths. Let the adrenaline subside a bit. You're going to bring your hands into the upward facing dog position. And you're going to come up onto your hands and knees for a moment. So those of you who are at home, if you have a block, you're going to place the block underneath you for upward dog, and you're going to rest your hips just above the pubic bone on the block. Your toes are going to be in the tucked position, so it's a variation with the heels reaching back, Okay? And your hips on the block are going to give you something that you can feel the legs resisting against. So even as your pelvis is moving down towards the block, your legs are going up in the opposite direction. So you have to move in two directions. That's the premise of Hatha Yoga. Then you're going to move the ears back in line with the shoulders, not necessarily lifting the chin because that's a little bit too easy, but move the ears back and see if you can articulate the engagement of the upper spine. Last 3. The arms are just basically doing a handstand. You're just pushing the hands straight down, lifting the wrist straight up. 2. And now you're going to lift your hips starting with the sacrum and bring your forehead onto the block into downward facing dog and let your forehead rest. I'm going to take it a little higher for you. See if by keeping the head as it is, can you continue getting that little lift? Sacrum up and back, hips up and back. Last 3. 2. See how much forward you can make that. Yeah, now look up. You're going to bend your knees deep, remove the block if you were using it, and either sit through or drop your knees down and swing your legs around. We're going to lie on the back, and you're going to take a supported bridge pose. So you use the block again, this time underneath your sacrum in bridge pose. Do whatever position with your arms feels comfortable. And just continue with breathing sideways. So now gravity is coming from above and pushing on your belly. So it's helping to keep the abdominals rather still and rather calm. You can now feel maybe the spine moving a little bit more in the direction of the side ribs as you breathe. The sacrum, which is the flat bone that connects your pelvis to your lumbar 5 vertebra, is releasing towards the back of the knee. So make sure the block is placed in a way where the sacrum is releasing away from your lumbar. Ideally, the pubic bone is going to be the highest point in bridge pose. And now you're going to lift your hips up a little bit and take the block out off to the side. Okay, we're going to do dynamic bridge pose. And for those of you who have a belt at home, one really nice thing that you can do is, first of all, if you have knee pain when you bring your feet really close, you just need to take your feet a little further away from your hips. But for those of you who can, bring the heels really close. Eventually with your fingers, you want to try to reach down and be able to touch your heels, or eventually, really what we're trying to do is hold the front of the ankle so you can supplement with the belt if you can't quite get the front of your ankles. And you see I've placed the belt around Chris's ankles just at the front of the ankles. So again, it's helping to enforce the pada bandha, okay, the spring joint. So as you press the heels down and back, you're going to begin to lift the hips forward and up. Ah, yeah. And you can imagine the feeling, right? Just like we had in all of those warrior poses, where as you press the four corners of your feet down, it's literally going to be like you can jump up with your hips, and the hips are going to soar towards the ceiling, and it's going to give you that feeling of the body turning, of the spine turning and creating extension. Last 3 breaths here. Press the feet as much as you can, like you could jump up, and then release your hips all the way down. And you can take the belt off to the side. So if you're going to just continue with bridge pose at home and you're not going to join in for Urdhva Dhanurasana, just use the strap the whole time, or hold the front of your ankles and challenge yourself a little bit more. For those of you who have enjoyed, and I got many messages about feet on blocks, let's put the feet on blocks if you have 2 blocks. And you can try Urdhva Dhanurasana with a little disco shoe. Is that okay, or you want to move forward? Okay. When you're ready, take the arms all the way overhead, just like you would for a handstand. Stretch the sides of your spine, get as much space as you can. Keep all of that movement back through your spine, and then bring your hands into a position right next to your shoulders, preparing you for Urdhva Dhanurasana. Same as bridge pose. You're moving the sacrum, the hips, towards the back of the knees and up. And then when you're ready, you're going to press into your feet like you could jump up with your hips, and that's what's bringing you to the crown of the head. You organize your elbows parallel, the outer arms turn towards the tip of the nose, and then when you're ready, you jump up with your hips again, and the higher your hips go, the more you're going to be able to take the weight off your arms. Eventually, your hands walk towards your feet. So the higher your hips go here, the more your feet have to press down, down, down. Last 3, last 2. Bring the chin into the chest first, lower very slowly onto your shoulders, and come down for a moment. Good. Take a few breaths, assess the experience without judgment. Just say, next time I need to inhale more. Next time I need to use my legs more. Take a mental note and then let go of the rest. Because we're going to do one more. So we always use the information to do the next round a little bit more mindfully. Take your arms overhead and stretch. Bend your elbows, place your hands by your shoulders. When you're ready, you're going to move your sacrum, hips towards the back of the knees and up. You're going to use the pressure of your feet down to lift your hips higher, 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 higher. Come to the crown of the head. Stay at any of these stages if you need an intermediary. Push your hips all the way up as high as you can and use that to give you this feeling of getting your hips as high as possible. Last 5, 4, oh yeah, 3, 2, now bring the chin all the way into the chest. Open the shoulders as you release down. And for a few moments, you can take your feet wider than the blocks. Yeah, there you go. And just let your body release. You want to again feel, not block the feeling that you experience. So all of this sensation is information, and it's very valuable for us to know ourselves, to know our bodies. So now we're going to just do a little pregnant lady twist. You're going to take both knees from here over to one side. So remove the blocks if you had it, and just let your feet stay wide and drop your knees over one direction. And take a couple moments, breathe here. You can take the left arm overhead if that works for you, to give the left side of your lumbar a little more space. If you feel like you're not getting as much of a stretch in the left hip as you want, you can take the right ankle over. Good. Just breathing, letting your body receive. When you're ready, you can bring the right heel down off the left knee. You can bring the left arm down, bring your knees over to the second side. Keeping your feet as wide as your hips will allow, and the knees drop left. Okay, and then you can change the right arm up overhead. See how that feels. If you want still a more intense stretch on your right leg, at any point you can put your left heel up on top. Notice your breath. And then you're going to unhook that left heel, release the right arm, lift your knees up, and heel toe your feet all the way in. Hug your knees into your chest, give yourself a little squeeze. Okay, now put your hands behind your head, interlaced fingers, so we're just going to bring the spine back into a neutral. Okay, lift your legs up to a vertical position, 90-degree angle. Okay, and on the exhalation, you're going to lower your legs and lift your shoulders same time. As you inhale, the head goes down and the legs come up. Slowly, as that legs go down, the shoulders lift up. And inhale, you return back. 3 more times. Exhale, reach, lower the legs, and inhale back. 2 more times. Exhale, reach, lower the legs, lift the shoulders, and inhale back. Last time, we're gonna hold, lower the legs down as far as you can, lift the shoulders, and hold here for 5, 4, breathe into your back bottom ribs, 3, 2, and hug your knees all the way in. You're gonna rock forward, back, and come all the way up, prepare for Paschimottanasana. So extend your legs out in front of you with your feet flexed. Take your arms all the way out and up over your head. See how much up you can get, and then go forward as much as possible. So we're gonna do that little wave breath. As you inhale, you're gonna lift up, go forward, and then as you exhale, maybe you get to go a little deeper. Arch here a little bit more. Yeah, there you go. Good job. Yes. 2 more breaths. Lifting your head first, the vertebra between your ears, and you're gonna come all the way up. Okay, we're gonna do either double pigeon or Sukhasana. If this is bothersome for your knees, you can always lie down and do the cross ankle over thigh figure 4. But when you're ready, you're gonna fold, bringing your hands down on the ground in front of you, or lie on your back and just bring your legs in and hold the back of your left leg. So again, what you will start to feel is how when we move forward, it brings the energy from the hips towards the crown of the head. If we were to just fold over, it's basically the same thing as putting a big kink in a hose. No energy can flow past that. So here what we're trying to do is from the sitting bones, which is the source of energy, moving down. The spine is being taught to go up and forward. So this is what makes this so much more provocative than just kinking and dropping down, is that we actually are assisting the energy moving through the pelvic floor towards the crown of the head. Five more breaths. Using your hands to assist you, inhale, lift the spine all the way up. Take a moment and change the cross of your legs. And so we do about 1.5 minutes on the second side. Take your hands in front, or if you're on your back, cross your left ankle over your right thigh, hold the back of your right leg. And we're gonna come into a little stretch. Giving yourself enough breath, enough awareness, so you feel this moment. You feel all the things, good, bad, or ugly, in your body. It doesn't matter. You're not disassociating. You're embodied. You're not leaving the room, escaping into some fascination, but you're here in this moment with yourself, not abandoning yourself. Last few breaths. When you're ready, use your hands to assist you. Come all the way up. Take a moment and let your legs extend forward. Getting that blood to move down through your knees again. And then when you're ready, you're going to lie down and set yourself up for Shavasana. Or you could sit in meditation at home if you would prefer to do seated meditation. Let's put something underneath your knees, Chris. There you go. Okay. Choose a comfy position for your head, arms, and shoulders. When you're ready, cue the exhale, letting go of choreographed breathing. And again, this is just an opportunity for you to receive all the benefits of your practice, closing your eyes, softening, and preparing yourself to take in all that positive energy. Allow a slightly larger inhalation when you're ready. Start with minimal movement. Just wiggle out your toes, fingers. Subtle, subtle arousal of the physical. Bend your knees. Place your feet either up on top of your bolster or flat on the yoga mat. And now you can reach your arms overhead and stretch your lumbar, upper back, and shoulders. When you feel ready, bring the knees close to your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze and roll to one side. So you can take as much time on your side as you prefer. Don't feel rushed, especially at home if you have the luxury of time. Whenever you feel ready, come back up into seated crossed leg, comfortable position of your choice. You can bring your hands to the base of your sternum, Anjali Mudra, and lower your forehead, gazing into your heart. Gratitude for your practice, for the work that your body does to keep the mind balanced. Bring your chin to parallel, open your eyes. Namaste.